morning. The program is Stolen Property. I am the Spirit Man, and I'll be with you into the top of the noon hour, going to put power into 1 hour. I thank you for listening to this program this morning, and I thank the Creator for blessing us once again to have this opportunity that we can say something that hopefully that you can take into your considerations this morning. So it's a good day. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid, but you still have to do what you have to do to strive and survive. And we do a lot of striving and surviving. At some point, we're going to have to decide that we wish to live as a people. I don't believe that we can continue to exist as we are doing today. So there has to be a change, and we must bring that change about. I was listening to the elder sister minister who was on this morning, and she was reading from John 5, and she talked about the water. And water, or body of water, symbolizes the masses of people. And in that body of water, there wasn't movement. There wasn't life until something moved or acted upon the water. And that's what we're trying to do this morning, trying to move you, the body of people here in Baltimore City, here in this country, here around this world. For we find ourselves in a very dangerous situation as a people, not just here in Baltimore, not just here in the United States, but throughout the planet. We see that our people are in real trouble. We are under attack. And we are at war. But the majority of the time we find ourselves at war, but at war with ourselves. So there are some things that have to change. We have to stop fighting each other. We have to look at and see the things that we may have in common with each other and move upon those commonalities so that we can make a better way and a better day for our children. For our children's futures have been sold away. Not yesterday, not today, but a long time ago. And as the sister said, you can pray, and you can pray all you want. And I've said this numerous times, and it has gotten me in trouble with some of our people. And I will not stop saying that. Is that you can pray all you want. But at some point, you got to get up off your knees and get up off of your behind and get busy and get to work. That's how change come about. So we have so much to do. So I wish to dedicate this program to someone who basically started me out in the area of research when I was about 17, 18 years old. That would be Dr. Samuel Banks. Back during the latter part of the 80s, Dr. Banks was trying to deal with the imagery within the visual media of our people. And he was training some of us, and also with Reverend Bernard Keels, who used to be at St. Mark's Church at the corner of Liberty Heights and Gwen Oak. And Dr. Banks and Reverend Keels were training us to basically to go to television stations, radio stations, the media in general, to look into their files, to see the complaints that may have been leveled against them. Also taught us to be monitors. Some of us would monitor the television stations to look at the contents that was being shown of our people in a very negative light, in a very negative situation. And what we would do also is that we would do mass mailings or send mass letters to those stations. We would have the people that was a part of the Black Media Coalition to send letters. We had letters or statements. We had letters that were already made out. All you had to do was sign them and put in an envelope and put a stamp on it and mail it to those particular television stations that were showing our people in a very negative light. We did it on a mass kind of level to be able to change and correct that which we see ourselves, because that image is the image that goes all around the world, all around the planet. And when our people travel abroad, they looking for you to act like Martin, to shake your behind like Beyonce, to act like Little Kim. And that is the image that they see. Or act like Snoop Dogg with gold rings and talking about pimping and putting out products like Pimp Juice. And that kind of imagery has been very destructive to our people. Even though we have some of our folks that may enjoy that. Just because we may listen to some music and they're rapping about this and that and the other, and just because they may sell a lot of records or supposedly make a lot of money, that it's okay, that it's all right, it's fine. Why are you hating? And we hear so much of that. Other folks do not permit that kind of imagery to be projected of them. Why should we? Why should we? Maybe there needs to be movement upon the water. There needs to be movement upon the body public. It needs to be movement among our people. Not the kind of movement that people are talking about, particularly in this city. The kind of movement they are talking about is moving you out. And it's in full effect. Nobody's hiding nothing. It's in your face. So it's time for you to deal with it. It's time for us to stand up as men and women. I say that because a lot of people have said to me that, Donald, you know they're going to get you. Maybe they might want to get me, but that seems as though they have already gotten you. And the attitude that we exemplify is one of defeatism. Woe with me, all is lost. There's nothing that I or we can do. And I must say to you that that is not true. What the sister said before I came on, you should hearken into or hear to what she basically was saying. It may come from the Bible. It may come from the Quran. It may come from the Torah. It may come from other kind of books. But the message is still the same. The lesson is still the same. We can take what is good of what everyone else has to offer, and we can discern. So I thank you for listening to this program this morning. Folks have asked me to lighten up, but I ain't lightening up, I'm tightening up. Because it's tight, tough, hard times. Times that shall try men and women souls. So my topic of this morning's program is moving time. It's moving time. And moving time is usually a sermon that you may hear some of the preachers, ministers preach doing homegoing services for someone as they transitioning from this world into the next, as they move from this world and go on to the rim of the Agungun, to the rim of the ancestors. But moving time is also for the living. And this day is just not any ordinary day for us to talk about moving time. It's the 4th of July. It's a national celebration. It's not a celebration of life, but it's a celebration of death, depending on who you are, where you are, in the pigmentation of your skin. For the great Frederick Douglass said, "What does your 4th of July means to a slave?" We don't teach that. We don't talk about that. We don't reflect and we do not examine the history of this country. This is not a day that we should be celebrating as a people. It's the independence, they say, of the United States from King George. What, I ask you, are you celebrating this day for? When have you declared your independence? In body, in thought, in minds, and ideas, and aspirations, and in life itself. When will we declare our independence from the United Snakes of America? And what was the war independence about? What was America independence about? Turf and trade and taxes, molasses and slaves. So why should I celebrate the destruction and the decimation of my people and the enslavement of my people? That's menticide. That's the deliberate destruction of a people's mind. Menticide, the deliberate destruction of a people's minds. And you can get the book by Reverend Barashango, African Peoples and European Holidays, a Mental Genocide. It should be required reading for adults and required reading for children. It should be in your schools, but since you don't run them, that's a whole different issue, and one we will get into this morning as we get into other things as we discuss. And the topic is still moving time. Because it makes no sense that with all the talk that we talk, we still doing some of the same things that as adults we say that we know, but you out there cooking your hot dogs, cooking your pork ribs, doing your hamburgers, putting your corn on the grill, eating your crabs, and all those other kind of things. It's still moving time, and we must move away from that kind of thinking. And I've always said before, when we deal with the issue of education, particularly with ourselves, compulsory education is mandatory strangulation for our people. Compulsory education is mandatory strangulation for those who the historical record will show that will not treat you right, will not teach you right. And how can you hand over the responsibility of someone else to take care and to educate your children? We must move past daytime daycare. And we must take back the primary role of educating, of socializing our children. That's why we buck wild. That's why we crazy. Because someone else has your children much more longer during the course of the day than you do. I remember years ago when Brother Dr. Khalid Muhammad at the, trying to remember the name of the school, Roots Activity Center, African Centered School in Washington, D.C. He gave a lecture, or he told a children's story to toddlers, and those may have been in the first grade, second grade. I'm talking about the Watotos. And after he told that story, you should have saw how jubilant they were, how excited they were. And the title of that children's story was The Little Black Cat That Went to White Doug School to Learn How to Bow Wow. Black cats meow, they don't bow wow. And our children are learning to bow wow in the public schools of Baltimore City, the public schools of this country. And when we wonder why we have the problems that we have, there's no way that this superintendent or superintendent, after the revelations have came out that once monitors was placed inside these schools, that these scores start dropping. And have we raised any questions? Are we raising the issue? Then turn around. They sign them to a new contract. Reads like a golden parachute. He has carte blanche to run it as he see fit. And then we have some of these ministers or whatever they call themselves. And I'm speaking particularly of Bishop Miles, Reverend Bishop whatever, Miles, maybe walking the green mile. For I'm not toning down how I talk and what I say. I'm not going to do it. I don't care what you say. Reverend Bishop Miles. He was in Annapolis. Saw him at I believe, the Taxpayers' Night Out at the school board, advocating on behalf of an unelected school board, not an elected school board, for you and me and all of those out there, and you at the sound of my voice who have your children in public schools and paying taxes in this city. They are your children. They are your babies. And you are paying the taxes. You should have a elected school board, not a partial elected school board, but a elected school board, one that you choose, the people that you choose to have on that school board. But why would you advocate against the best interests of the parents? Why would you advocate against the best interests of our babies? Why would you? And all I can say is shame on you. Shame on you. So I'm going to get into a little bit of this real quickly, and I'm going to open the lines up this morning so that we can have a two-way conversation, that we can have some engagement. Maybe we can put all our pieces together, and maybe we can put our pieces together, and maybe we can come up with a better, clear picture, and maybe we can be able to work some things out. Maybe we can come to some conclusions, or maybe we can come to a consensus. And at some point, we need to have a plebiscite. That is an agreement among all of us, maybe on one particular issue, that if we can come to an agreement, we can come to a consensus on one issue, and we can take and resolve that, we can move to something else. And my question to you this morning, one of my questions to you this morning, because Baltimore City's public schools is a business, and they making money off of your children. They have to be in school at least 180 something days a year for it to be legal. They making money off of your children, off of these free lunch, chapter 1. And I ask you, when school comes back around again, if you're not going to take your child out of school, which a lot of you will not, the least that you can do is not fill out those lunch applications. A lot of money comes into Baltimore City Public Schools through the federal government, through those free lunch programs. Don't fill them out. Do not fill them out. That's one way of bringing about some kind of change. Maybe that's a little step to get to a bigger step. A lot of us and a lot of our people, we're going to have to just spoon feed. Then others, we just going to have to leave them behind. But it's being responsible. It's taking a hand and laying that hand upon the water and making that body of water move. Giving it some motion, giving it some life, giving it some energy. That's what we're talking about this morning. And the problem that we have in this serious problem that we are having right now is the loss of our homes. Hopefully within the week after next, I can have some people come on this program, particularly a couple of elders or seniors who have lost their homes over water bills. I personally had came out of my pocket to help some elders to save their homes, to get their homes off of the tax sale list. Even though the city say they have a program to assist them, I haven't, you haven't heard anything, or anyone within the city government administration informing our people that there is some help out there for them. A lot of these legislators, a lot of these politicians in this city have received high water bills, and some of their homes were on the tax sale list. They tried to do some kind of things, to so-called corrective kind of things, but they were no more than Band-Aids. 9 months or $350 when it came down to water bills before they would go to the tax sale or the annual tax auction where they auction these properties off. It's really something with that, the ground rents and all these other kind of things that are going on that are causing people to lose their homes. In the outcry, or the people being upset, or people taking action or asking questions about that, it's not really happening. It's not really happening. Not at the level that it should be. It's not at the level of the people that lose their homes. I have never seen so many homeless people in Baltimore City in such a long period of time. As I said previously on this program, here in Anne Arundel County, you can go on Crane Highway, you can go on 8th Avenue, or any large wooded area in Anne Arundel County, and you're going to find white folks living in the woods. They're losing their homes too. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, purple, orange, green, or yellow. You're losing your home. You're losing your home. It ain't Democrat, it ain't Republican, it ain't independent, or whatever it is. It's people losing their homes as Wall Street got bailed out. The banks got bailed out. You can't get a bailout. But they can take your home from you. Over water bill, over some other municipal fine. Because your the top to your trash can is not on. Top. The dog might have knocked it over. Or the trash man might have pulled your bags, and the folks from the Department of Housing or the Environmental Control Board came in and write you a citation up. Red light camera, speed light camera. This is just revenue enhancement. Fines and fees. And why we have to supplement the surrounding regions. And they are using city water, but they pay a different rate with concurrence from Baltimore City. That was in the legislation when they passed that increase, that the mayor and the president of the city council, sitting on the board of estimates, passed that legislation. The only objection, the only no vote, was the controller. And I was just happy to hear that she got some kind of control of herself, because we haven't seen or heard of any audits. And how can you pass legislation when you have 2 people answering the phones down at the water department? You have 36 people reading the meters. You have 411,000 customers. You throw in Baltimore County, Harford County, and Arundel County, you got about 1.8 million people. 36 people going to read those meters? Or is Baltimore County reading their own meters? It's something going on in this town. It's a land grab. And they pushing our people out. So, I referenced the book about a couple of weeks ago. And let me do this real quickly.
1590 WFBR, Glen Burnie, Baltimore. Views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect those of the Way Broadcasting Corporation or the staff and management of WFBR.
They are my views and my opinion. I just want to make that clear. And I hope that they be your views and your opinions, so that we can do some things. Baltimore County, I believe that even though there was a 9% increase in sewer charge and water charge and other, they say, miscellaneous fees, Baltimore County don't say pay the same rate. Because I heard someone say that it doesn't matter, everybody uses water. But everybody don't pay the same price for the water. Why we should be compensating Baltimore County, Arundel County, Harford County for the use of our water. If anything, Baltimore City residents should be paying a lower rate, and there should not have been an increase on us. It should have been an increase on them. Because not just they get the water, but Baltimore City, I believe, have to also maintain those reservoirs also. And as I said, during the Dixon administration and this Stephanie Rawlins Blake administration, that the water bills and other kind of municipal fines or liens should not be included into the property tax sale, into the housing sale every year. Those things should not be included. You should not be charging residents for fixing an alleyway $250. That's the city responsibility. Why is everyone else making us pay the cost? Why are we in this city supplementing and paying for downtown development. Do you have a problem with that? Because a lot of people have a lot of problems with me when I talk about this. Why you always starting trouble? Why you always in other people's business? Because it affects how I and how you live. That's why. And why is it when people stand up without fear that we get attacked? We become the enemy. And this is happening among our own people. And that has to change. Because what affects you affects me. If there's abandoned houses or vacant houses in your community, and they are in your community, they scattered all throughout this city. If you're in a good neighborhood or a bad neighborhood or mixed neighborhood or you just in the hood, you have it. Ride throughout the city and you see high grass. Investors are coming in, putting in Section 8 people. And I have nothing wrong with folks who live that's getting Section 8. They have the right to live too. But when it gets down to destabilization of neighborhoods and the communities, it's a whole different ball game. We can go through some of these neighborhoods. I know where I used to live at. Had 2 families moved on the block. Raised havoc and raised hell. And the folks start moving in a stable neighborhood and a stable community because of parasitic investors. They don't care who they put in them homes. It's about getting the dollar bill and getting a return, locked in, guaranteed money. And that ain't funny. But some of the things that have really bothered me is that when I looked at the story that came out in the paper, and I think that we need to take a closer look at this because it's the same game with another name. You can call it urban renewal if you want to, but it's called Negro removal here in Baltimore City. The book that I wish to reference, that I talked about and I quoted from previously, that was published in 1996, published by the Able Foundation in Baltimore, published by John Hopkins Press on behalf of the Able Foundation. Baltimore Unbound, a strategy for regional renewal. It's Negro removal. It's the same game with another name. How they take and use these kind of federal funds and these federal rehash programs, model cities, enterprise zones, empowerment zones. You name the program, you got the same result, that there were not any development within these communities. The monies were diverted during the time of William Donald Schaefer, when he created 24 so-called quasi-public entities to funnel those monies down to the harbor at the expense of you and me. And we wonder why our children cannot achieve. We wonder why our people walk around with their heads down, why they do not feel that they are worth anything or just down and out. It's because of conditions. It's because of the environment that we live under and have lived under for such a long period of time in this city. Hasn't nothing changed, and people's attitudes haven't greatly changed about us. And our attitudes haven't changed about ourselves. As the old folks say, as the MZs or the elders always said, baby is not what they call you, but is what you answer to. And we must hear a new call And we must answer to that new call. We have to do something for ourselves on a city level or state level, on a national level. We are on our own. Do you understand that we are on our own? Ain't nobody coming to help us. We're going to have to help ourselves and do something for ourselves to get ourselves up out of this situation. The sister that came on before me said that after you pray, you got to get up off your knees. You got to get up and you got to get busy. You got to get to work. You got to be engaged, and you have to engage yourself so that you can be once again a participant in the arena of life. Because all we see is death and destruction every day. That's what our children see, death and destruction every day. When we going to take and offer them something different? For their futures have already are gone. By the time once they hit these public school systems, they taking them out. Mentally, they're taking them out. Their expectations of them are very low. Our expectations of ourselves is very low. When we go back and we look at how our children have been mentally played with in this miseducation system that's taking place, or this indoctrination system, school system, or food system, that early on, when you go back into the early 90s, and you have to have an understanding of who in the hell is doing this, who's promoting this, who's pushing this. We can go back to the time of educational alternative, tax rack, and some of these folks that's running for office can bear witness to what I said because they were sitting in office then. It was $4,444. I ain't got to look at no paperwork because when I take my information, I internalize my information. So I know what I'm talking about. That was put up by the Able Foundation. Ask Carl Stokes and them that took them, I think, to Minneapolis so they can go and look at the TASERAC program. The Able Foundation paid for that. It was the Able Foundation that brought within the public schools Noah Plant. It was the Able Foundation that brought the street cameras that's up on your streets in your neighborhood now. It was the Able Foundation that went through the Citizen Planning and Housing Association on condition that is being monitored by Baltimore City Police. Check, don't take what I say to be the truth or the gospel truth or whatever. Check it out yourself. Then we got this thing, core curriculum, and all these other kind of things. These private entities or private businesses coming into these school systems. Nobody is going to educate your children and train your children better than you. So y'all can go on down there, M&T Bank, to some African American or whatever kind of festival that is, Stone Soul, or I think you got not hit by a stone, but you got hit by a brick. Because our people seem in the city do not have an insult level. Because why is it everyone else have their festivals and all that kind of thing in their communities? Why we always got to be under some damn bridge or on a hot ass parking lot? You tell me. I haven't really gotten into what I really wanted to get in today. Is that with this, what's going on and happening up in the Park Heights? Last year sometime I was giving folks the copies of the Park Heights master plan, and the way it's worked out is that they planning to move you out of Park Heights. It's called decentralization of the poor. Decentralization of the poor. Before I reference what was going on and what was happening in Detroit, if you have your computer up, if not, plug it up, cut it on, take a look. I need someone to take a look and see what's happening in Detroit. I need someone, because this is an engagement. We're going to work with each other. We're going to educate each other. We're going to train each other, and we're going to learn how to be researchers. And we're not going to be lazy. So don't call me up asking me about look for this and that and the other. No, you're going to look it up yourself, because we're going to start doing some things for ourselves. I need someone to look up the Baltimore Development Corporation. And I want you to, when I open these phone lines up, I want you to call in and to tell me if there is anyone on there from housing. And tell me who else may be on the board of the Baltimore Development Corporation. Is it Otis Rowling on the board of the Baltimore Development Corporation, which is, they say, another one of these quasi-private public organizations that was created during the Kurt Smoke administration? The court ruled about 2 years ago that the Baltimore Development Corporation is a city agency. It uses city funds. The court said so. Why are they still holding closed-door meetings? Why are they not denying people access to their files and to their records? They are a 501c3 tax-exempt organization. You have the right to see what they're doing. You have the right to sitting on those meetings, but the doors are closed. I believe it was the Sun Paper or one of these television stations that sued them to take them to court, which brought about the decision that was ruled against them. And the Baltimore Development Corporation is no more than an action arm of the developers in this country. And with all the things that we have with this boarded up housing in this city, and Baltimore City is the #1 slumlord in the city, and you have one man sitting over two agencies, the Housing Authority of Baltimore City, which is a federal agency, which is receiving over $100,000 a year in salary, and Department of Housing and Community Development, which is a city agency where he is receiving over $100,000. So I want you, the internet folks, I need someone to take a look at who sits on the board of the Baltimore Development Corporation, and you tell me if there's a conflict of interest somewhere, that something is afoul, that something is amiss. As I said before, I'm not lightening up. I'm tightening up. I'm not changing my tone, and I'm not changing my language. And I've had a conversation with some folks over the last week or so, and I have a decision that I have to make. And that decision is that by Monday evening, if I'm going to run for city council president of Baltimore City. Because Jack is jacked up. Jack can't vote. And when he does vote, it's not for the interest and in the interest of those that he say that he represent. He represents the whole city of Baltimore, not downtown, not the developers, not Roland Park, not Canton, not the Waterline, not Guilford, not Butchers Hill, not Bolton Hill, but the whole entire city. You must cast a vote, up or down. There is no abstaining, because the decisions that you make has an effect upon how we live here in Baltimore City, and how, not just how we live in Baltimore City, if we even will live in Baltimore City. It's something when you have seniors who have worked all their lives. These are the ones who cleaned the floors, washed the dishes, and did all other kind of things with dignity and respect when they were disrespected and treated less than human beings. These weren't the most educated people on the planet. They had little education, but they had good sense. Not common sense, but good sense. But some of y'all are just common. They had good sense. They knew where they were going at. And they were able to leave us some things, some homes and some other kinds of things. They were able to pass on something to us. We're going to be the only generation that leave our children nothing. or leave our children less than the generation that came before us, particularly with these reverse mortgages. There's a transfer point that has been lost. There's a disconnect with the generation that preceded us and ourselves. Those in their 50s now, we're not going to have anything to leave our children. And all our children are prepared, or have we prepared our children? And are they fit to be able to keep and maintain and to build and develop upon those things that we have left them? That's a question that we have to ask ourselves. And are we willing to change that? It's moving time. And when moving time comes, it's moving from a new house to from an old house to a new house. There are certain things that you have to do. First, you have to be able to secure the new house, and that's basically to make the necessary payments to be able to go to closing and get the insurances and all those other kind of things. Then at that point, once you have went to closing, then it's another process that takes place. It's the basically of the packing and doing those other kind of things and getting a truck and all those kind of things to be able to make that transition as smooth as possible. That's moving time. That's moving time. Just as the folks in the church would say is that, have you gotten yourself right? You know what I mean? So when moving time come, when you transition from this earth into some other kind of realm, you have to be prepared. And the ministers and the church folks always talking about being prepared for moving time, being prepared when your number called, being prepared when the day or the hour come. So why can't we have moving time while we're here on this earth, while we're here on this planet, while we're here in this life? We can have moving time because we have to be able to move from this point of where we are. Because if you're celebrating this day, you definitely need a checkup from the neck up. Because what you are celebrating is the enslavement of yourselves and the continued decimation in the mental and physical destruction of ourselves. No reparations, no apologies will be sufficient to compensate for the broken hearts, the broken minds, the broken bodies, the broken spirits that has been destroyed. No dead presidents, no Benjamins can do that. And if they did give it to you, one of these car companies would put out a reparations edition Lexus with a kente cloth roof. And if you got $100,000 or $200,000 or $1 million today, you'll be broke tomorrow. For a fool with his money shall soon depart. And you will be paying $700 and $750 a month for 36 months with your $1 million. So I'm going to open the phone lines up. I really didn't get into what I wanted to really get into today, because I have to make that decision, what I want to do. And it's not so much because no one else is not running, because I hear folks on these radio programs, this and that and the other, political, astute talking politics, all that kind of stuff, like they know something. I don't see you running. You're just talking stuff. What you scared of? You tell me. And my situation is that politics is not my thing. I know it well. My thing is research. I'm better in this classroom than I am would be in a political position. And I can beat Jack Young because he's a babbling idiot. He has no ideas or have no clues of what to do in this city. That's not just not him, just not singling him out, but it's the rest of them too. What focus, what ideas that we have for the development, how we wish to see our neighborhoods, and how we wish to see our communities. How do we wish to live? And let's stop looking at the world through other folks' eyes. And let's stop existing in this double consciousness. And it's clear today because you can see black folks downtown in the hot sun, they say having fun. If that's the kind of fun you have, it need to be taken away from you. So the phone number is 410-761-1592. Good morning. You on the air.
Good morning, Brother Donald. How you doing this morning?
I'm cool, brother.
You know, you've given me a lot to think about these last few weeks.
Thank you, brother.
I got to tell you, I respect what you're trying to do. Even at times I may not be on the same side with you, but I've always respected what you tried to do out here.
And I thank you for that, brother.
And you always give us a lot to think about, and what you've talked about today has definitely given me something to think about this weekend as to whether or not I might decide to get into this race myself.
Brother, if you wish to do so, Brother Ern, I'll say do so. And if you do, I'll support you.
Well, Brother Donald, if you decide to do it, I will support you.
Yes, sir. And if you, I'll say go on and do it, because I'm indecisive at this point. It's not something that I really do. I think I could be better service to people right here.
Yeah, I understand that, but at this time, one of the things I'm looking at is if nobody else has the courage, then I might have to.
My phone number, Brother Ern, is 443-845-9505. Sometime later today after 4 o'clock, give me a call.
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry, Brother Don.
443-845-9505.
9505?
Yes, sir.
I certainly will do that.
I thank you, brother.
All right.
Yes, sir. Good morning. You on the air. Good morning. You on the air. The phone number is 443. Excuse me. The phone number is 410-761-1592. Let me see what we have here. Good morning. You on the air.
Good morning. Good show, and I like what the previous caller stated. Could you repeat very slowly the book that you just mentioned in this hour?
The name of the book is called Baltimore Unbound. It is a must-read. It was written in 1996. It was published by Johns Hopkins University Press, paid for by the Able Foundation of Baltimore. Once again, the book is called Baltimore Unbound, a strategy for regional renewal. It was written by, the author is David Russ, whose father was the former Secretary of State during that particular time. I reference his father because it was his father working for the State Department that would not permit Malcolm X's plane to land in France, which brought him right here into America in a short period of time. After that, the brother was assassinated.
Could you repeat the surname again, please?
David Russ.
How you spell that, dear?
I believe that's R-U-S-K.
All right, dear. Thank you so much, and keep on talking the truth.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am. The phone number is 443-845-9505. Hopefully we can focus in and someone could call in on what's happening in the Park Heights situation, because it seems that the New Park Heights Development Corporation thinks that they can do some things within that community, and I think they're going to be kind of disillusioned to come find out that the Park Heights Renaissance is sitting over top of them, and they are the ones who basically is calling the shots and going to dictate what goes on. They're going to clear a lot of those houses for a lot of green space and green areas and all of that kind of stuff. It's decentralization of the poor. They're just trying to move as many poor people from out of that area as possible. So let me do something real quick before I take this next call. I wish to thank the brothers and sisters and say assalamu alaikum to you up there at the Supreme Oasis Bakery and Deli. That's the home of the world-famous Supreme Bean Pie, where you can go there and they can give you supreme wisdom, supreme knowledge, supreme understanding, where you'll get food from clean people that will clean you up and be able to show you and tell you about something new and something different, a better way of doing things, a better way of looking at life itself. So Good morning. You on the air?
Yes, Nag, is that their morning spirit, man?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's good to hear all of the information that you bring to us, and especially talking about that Supreme Oasis, because it's been years since I've been up there, and you're talking about it, keeps it up on my mind.
Go up there and get them. Go up and get yourself a hoagie or one of them. The fish and chips. That's my favorite.
Well, I'll have to check it out, especially since I do want to support black businesses, which that is. And also, there are several points you made that I can take personally and try to grow and develop upon. And reverse mortgages is something that I had taken an interest in. I didn't follow through on it because I didn't know whether my Watoto would be able to, keep the house after I go on to the next move on. And the way you talk about it, I'm glad I didn't make that change. And, it's still something I'm considering, but you are talking about some of our people are getting all swallowed up in these reverse mortgages, and then we end up losing our home. Is that the gist of what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. It's a situation where, like this Mama Arisha, is that, say for instance that me and you married. Okay, I've been the primary breadwinner. I was one who's doing the working, and you was the homemaker. The house was in my name. What happens is, Mama Arisha, is that when we take a reverse mortgage out, what happens is that at that point is that if I pass, the house doesn't go to you. It goes to the bank. You understand what I'm saying? It goes.
Okay.
It goes
so
to.
You're talking about in a marital situation, and but I think some of it may apply to others of us who are not necessarily married. But what you're saying is
the house is gone.
The house is gone to whomever you try to leave it to.
Yes, ma'am. So.
And some of the people who are supposed to keep a hold of the home can't afford to do so. Is that the idea?
Yes, ma'am. So, Mama Arisha, I got to jump off because I had to close this program out.
Okay, well, may I quickly say, tune into my program, Africa Arise, Communiversity, Tuesday at 1 p.m., and we'll continue our attempts to help our people rise up.
Thank you, Mama Arisha.
All right. Tutanana.
Tutanana. Thank you. The program is Stolen Property every Saturday from 11 to 12 noon. I am Brother Donald the Spirit Man, so I thank you for listening for this program this evening. If you wish to give me a call or if you wish to help support this program, the phone number is 443-845-9505. So I see you next week. Thank you.